Welcome to Dimensional Messages, the show where we explore profound spiritual teachings, timeless wisdom, and insights that transform lives from channelers both past and present. I'm your host, Lonnie, and I'm so honored that you've chosen to join me today. In this episode, we dive deep into the complete text of I Am the Open Door, a channeled discourse of incredible spiritual guidance and enlightenment. This powerful text, as channeled by Peter Mount Shasta, features teachings from the Ascended Masters, Saint Germain, Jesus, the Great Divine Director, and many more. These discourses, first dictated in 1977, reveal timeless truths about light, freedom, self-mastery, and love. Whether you're new to the concept of channeled text or have been exploring spiritual teachings for years, I invite you to open your heart and mind to the wisdom that unfolds. Today's journey will include the full discourse, unedited and uninterrupted, to honor its integrity and provide you with a full immersion into the experience. Let's go through a quick summary of what we'll encounter in I Am the Open Door. The I Am the Open Door text is a channeled work delivered through Peter Mount Shasta, featuring teachings from Ascended Masters such as Saint Germain, Jesus, the Great Divine Director, and others. The discourses illuminate spiritual truths, inspire self-mastery, and guide readers towards divine freedom and fulfillment. The key themes are as follows: divine light and inner peace, or presence. The text emphasizes that each individual is a manifestation of divine light. Connecting with the I Am presence, also known as the Christ consciousness, within, and is the path to realizing one's divine nature. Practices like meditation, affirmation, and visualization help align with this inner light. The Masters emphasize that each individual is a manifestation of divine light, with their inner I Am presence serving as a direct connection to the divine. Example, the Great Divine Director teaches, in the center of your being is a great light, and you are that light. This reminds us that by turning inward and focusing on the light within, we can experience divine truth. This is known as the aura. Freedom through mastery. Freedom is a central theme. True liberation comes through mastery of thoughts, emotions, and actions. The Masters encourage discipline and sincerity as essential for personal growth and spiritual evolution. True freedom is achieved through mastery of thoughts, feelings, and actions. Disciplined focus allows individuals to rise above worldly attachments. As an example, Saint Germain states, "You must learn to be master of your own world. Each of you is a gardener, each responsible for what is growing in the fertile soil of his own world." This illustrates the need to actively cultivate positive thoughts and emotions. The power of affirmations. Affirmations like I am the resurrection and the life are highlighted as powerful tools for transformation and connection with the divine. These practices are presented as keys to unlocking divine potential and attaining higher consciousness. Affirmations are highlighted as powerful tools for aligning with divine energy and creating transformative effects. Example, Saint Germain advises, the affirmation I am the resurrection and the life will raise all human activity into the Ascended Master octave. This demonstrates the transformative power of such declarations when used with understanding and intent. We will see this reference to octaves in the channeled wisdom of the guides channeled by Paul Selig. Service to others. Love, charity, and service are seen as divine attributes essential to spiritual development. Helping others is both a responsibility and a path to unity with the divine. Readers are urged to practice compassion and recognize the divine in all beings. Love, charity, and service are essential for spiritual progress. By helping others, individuals align with divine will and deepen their connection to the one universal mind. Example, Kuan Yin explains the most merciful thing you can do is to be tolerant in your thoughts and feelings towards others. This reminds us that small acts of mercy can create profound ripples in others' lives. Overcoming challenges. The text teaches that obstacles and challenges are opportunities for growth and mastery. Faith, courage, and perseverance are crucial in navigating life's trials. Suffering is viewed as part of the divine plan, providing lessons necessary for spiritual ascension. Obstacles are seen as opportunities for spiritual growth and a means to develop strength, wisdom, and mastery. Example, Godfrey Ray King shares, "You must face your experience, and there are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Just get with it, as you like to say." This underscores the importance of embracing challenges as part of the divine plan. Unity and oneness. There is a strong focus on the interconnectedness of all of life. The Masters guide individuals towards seeing others as reflections of themselves and practicing unconditional love. Achieving unity with the divine is seen as the ultimate goal of human existence. The text highlights the interconnectedness of all beings, therefore emphasizing love, unity, and recognition of the divine in everyone. Example, Saint Germain declares, "There is nothing that you do, feel, or allow to affect you in any way that does not go forth and affect others. You are all in this together." This speaks to the shared journey of all souls towards spiritual fulfillment. Practical guidance. The Masters provide practical advice on daily application of spiritual principles, including disciplined thought control, consistent use of affirmations, and staying grounded in love and truth. They emphasize the importance of patience, humility, and silent service as one grows spiritually. Daily application of spiritual principles is emphasized, including discipline, thought, control, meditation, and consistent use of affirmations. Example, the Goddess of Grace advises, "Hold fast to what you know is right. Each step will be illuminated for you. Not the whole way at once, but each step as you take it." This encourages patience and trust in divine guidance. Inspirational messages. The discourses offer hope and encouragement, promising that all individuals are destined for ascension and freedom in divine light. Readers are reminded of their inherent divinity and the unlimited potential within them to create, heal, and transform. The discourses offer hope, assuring readers that ascension and freedom are their divine birthrights. Example, Jesus says, "I, like you, was born of human parents, and came through sincere searching and meditation to know my own divinity, as you too may know yours." This inspires readers to trust their ability to achieve spiritual mastery. This summary, enriched with examples from the text, highlights the profound wisdom in "I am the open door." It's a timeless guide for those seeking spiritual transformation and deeper connection to their divine essence. So, let's begin. Excuse my cat. Thank you.
I am the open door, discourses from the Ascended Masters, as given to Peter Mount Shasta in 1977. Dedication. This book is dedicated in deepest eternal love and gratitude to our beloved Master, Saint Germain, Jesus, the great divine director, the great white brotherhood, the brotherhood of the Royal Teton, the brotherhood of Mount Shasta, and those other ascended masters whose loving help and assistance has been direct and without limit. Preface. At the request of the great divine director, these discourses were dictated January of 1977 by various ascended masters who appeared in their light bodies as necessary. It is my great hope that all who feel the radiation of these messages, which is that which only one's ascended can give, will be inspired to apply the law and to live the law. In eternal service and with the deepest love and gratitude, I am Peter Mount Shasta. Discourse 1. Great Divine Director. In the center of your being is a great light, and you are that light. This is the truth of your being. You shall know this truth, and this truth shall make you free. This is the truth Jesus spoke, the truth for all men that all men can know. And how can you know this truth? By direct experience. The light that lighteth every man that cometh into the world is a reality. As a reality, it can be experienced. As the wind cannot be seen, only its effects seen, only its pressure felt, so too can the effect of the light within you be seen, its pressure felt. And that pressure is a power far beyond the human mind to comprehend. If you would see that light, then you must go to the light, and that light is within you. Within, around, and above. And all things are composed of that light, and that light is within all things. There is no thing, no person that is not of the light. But before the light can be seen, it is felt. And to feel, you must first develop the ability to feel. And the source of that ability to feel is in the heart. Your heart is the very center of your being. It is the center of your feelings. The center where the pressure of the light can first be felt, then seen, and it can be seen. It takes practice. Do you know of anything worth attaining that does not take practice? Persevere. For the light of God stands above all the world, and you are that light. The more that you dwell on that truth, the more certain of it you will become, and the stronger will be the truth of it within you. Whatsoever your attention is upon, that shall you become. Your attention is a great lens by which you focus your energy and control your being. In all, that power of attention is active at all times, whether consciously or unconsciously. What you are, what you experience at any given moment, is simply the result of what you have allowed your attention to be focused upon. If you allow your attention to be attracted by things of the senses, you will live in a world of the senses, a captive. While if you direct your attention to the light within you, you will find freedom and enter the kingdom of heaven. You have within you every moment the choice. In the center of your being you have a divine director, the consciousness of the real you that will guide and direct you in your choice at every moment if you will turn your attention to it, and it is a great blazing sun within you. I thank you. Into thy hands, O Father, I commend myself, mind, heart, life, world. For I know that I am your child. From you I came, all that I have, all that I am is yours. And unto you I now and forever return. Thy will be done through me as it is in you. I am one in God forever. Discourse 2, Saint Germain. What does man want? What are the people of the world clamoring for above all else? It is freedom. Above even the desire to be loved, man wants freedom. For only when you are free can you truly love. Of course, I do not mean to say that you can have freedom without love, for that is not possible. Only that you must be free in order to love. And it is that freedom which is God's greatest gift to his beloved children, sparks from the very flame of his own heart. And it is about that freedom that I would like to talk to you now, dear ones. In the first place, let us have a little history. Just a little, for I know many of you are not fond of long history lessons. Let us just go back for a moment, if you will, by a stretch of your imagination, which faculty, by the way, is one of the highest in man, for it is through the imagination, the power of visualization and qualification, that you have the power to create. The same power by which God, infinite mind, created all things. And Now that we are back through imagination to the beginning of man on this planet, let us behold him in all his pristine glory and light. Behold, a free being. He is free, pure, and uncontaminated. A being of free will. In short, a God. Oh, if you would only remember the glory all had in God before the world was. But take courage. I say that all of you will one day again regain your supernal glory and rise among your brothers, the ascended host of light, as masters of your destinies, no longer subject to cause and effect as beings of cause alone. And this shall come to be, for it is a divine command: man shall be free. But how, dear ones, does one attain freedom? It is not so easy as some would have it, yet it is not so difficult either. Really, like so many things, it is a question of sincerity. For one who is sincere, all things are possible. Sincerity is the key to all endeavor. To one who is sincere, all doors are open, no matter what the seeming disadvantage of one's present condition. No matter how late one has started on the path to attainment, you may begin on the path anywhere depending on your sincerity. And by path, I mean the clear step-by-step way to conscious mastery of all things. But the place in which you start is always within yourself. And the only factor regulating the rate of your advancement is your own sincerity. Some may begin late in life and advance rapidly, while others who seem to have started early, with every advantage, unaccountably may appear slow or even seem to regress. Though you should know that no conscious effort is ever lost, no matter how dark things seem to become. If you fail at one point, then you have just that much more determination to succeed and to overcome whatever the obstacle was that you allowed to divert you from the path the first time. And obstacles there will arise. For do you not see that the obstacles themselves are a part of the path, a part of the plan? That only free will makes the attainment of wisdom, that conscious understanding and dominion of what is, possible through the exercise of that free will in the conscious overcoming of the resistance of that material world. Have no regrets about man's past history and his descent from those glorious realms he inhabited prior to the creation of the world. For, although man was free and dwelt in the light of his God self, he had no experience or knowledge of his freedom, no creative wisdom which can only come about through experience. So that was not the freedom of the magnitude it is consequently possible for us to attain, was it, dear hearts? Man came to this material school, for as a school lesson should all earthly travail be seen, to encounter the principle of resistance, the force of opposition, which some of you think you would like a little less of. Well, I say to you, it is only in experiencing, understanding, and overcoming this very force of which the material world is composed that makes the attainment of your true freedom possible. How exquisitely beautiful is that plan, and the eternal glory that awaits you. A great privilege is yours on earth today, my children. How I wish I could show you. You will come to see that this dear school earth is not such a mess as some would like to think. And I say like to think, for there is always that force working in some. It is really not them, but a force they have allowed to work through them, as all forces should be seen, that delights in seeing things in the most negative way possible, as they feel it easier to criticize and condemn rather than take a step into the light and do something constructive and alleviate those conditions. Though they would find, if they could see what their condemnation and criticism does to their own growth, that it is much easier in the long run to be constructive and spend the extra energy than to dawdle by the roadside criticizing others and have to spend a great deal of energy later to get themselves out of the fix into which their opening of themselves to a negative force has placed them. Have you ever noticed how visitors to a kindergarten will criticize and say, "What unruly children these are," until you ask them, "What were you like when you were in that grade, and can you do any better?" My goodness, no. Earth is not in such a bad state, and I don't want to hear any of you saying anything to the contrary. And believe me, I have better hearing than you can imagine, and that some of you might like to think. And I know what I am saying. Don't you forget that. There is no nonsense whatever about this path. That does not mean you are not to have a good time, dear ones, just the opposite. In fact, I hope that you will come to enjoy and appreciate life more abundantly. But I will not have my students, and all of you, even those aware of the guidance they may be receiving from others of us, are my students saying things to the contrary of what I have said. For one of the first things that you must learn on this path is obedience. Yes, with a capital O. For although you are always free to go your own way, you will soon learn that it is in obedience that your true freedom lies. For we have treaded the exacting steps of this perfect path to mastery before you. We see what you need, what is best for you at each moment, as we protect and watch over you. Though often that which you need may not at the moment seem very pleasant to you, still, it is what you need, and only we in the ascended state can see that. And later you will see why. You will look back on some trying experience you may have had to go through, and you will say, I am glad that I was obedient. I am glad that I faced that and went through with it. I have learned something. It has made me a stronger person. You see, it is really common sense. While we are still on this topic of obedience, let me say that never will you be asked as a student of freedom to give obedience to any dogma, cult, or teacher that in any way contradicts these teachings or deprives you in any way of your own freedom of self-determination at all times. You are my children, and as I am freedom you shall be free. This is my eternal decree. However, as you have chosen this path of the ascended masters, and as the ascended master is one with your own God presence, to be obedient to us is quite a different story, is it not? So when I say that Earth is in better condition than you would think from reading the papers, I do not want to hear you going from place to place like the prophets of doom the world is already so burdened with, saying this or that is going to happen, for it isn't. You do not have the perspective that I have, and when you do have my perspective, then you will see that many a cloud has a silver lining. The catastrophes which seem to some to always be hovering on the horizon do not mark an end, rather a beginning. And what a beginning it shall be when the silver lining of all these clouds is revealed and the glorious new age is finally born. No matter how great the pain of childbirth, is there any mother who is not grateful, not glad to be a mother? And those who are helping me bring forth this new age are also mothers. And I say, be grateful despite the suffering. Be grateful for what you have already attained, as well as that for which you are yet striving. And there is nothing wrong with striving, for I do not want you misled by those who claim that the goal, liberation from suffering, is attained by not striving, the absence of all desire. This unfortunate misunderstanding, whether it has come about through being misled by one to whom one gave obedience, or whether through one's own inherent laziness and inertia, leads not to any liberation, but to one being more bound to the earthly condition, the bonds of which mental delusion may sometimes last through many lifetimes, a sad state of affairs, as though there could ever actually be a final state of attainment. How could there be? There is never an end to growth, dear ones. Whatever one attains on this path, or any path for that matter, is attained only by one's desire to attain. Desire is the source of creation, and pure desire, the sincere longing for union with and service to your own God self, will ever take you to that true liberation that is eternal freedom. Dear ones, how could it be any other way? Life is growth, evolution and evolution, contraction and expansion, ever rising on the great eternal spiral of creation. And the desire not to grow, to be static no matter how blissful that stasis may be, can only be a moment, one moment in the great sea of creation in which every part, every particle of light is an organic growing member. And the motivating force of that divine organism is God's desire to express greater and ever greater love through every part of his ever-expanding universe, every part and member of which has a mission to fulfill. And so you see how you are only cutting yourself off by seeking some static, unchanging void where nothing grows. For life everywhere is growth, and conscious growth is the consciousness of God. You see what a limited and selfish view of things it is to say, I will go off somewhere by myself and find bliss, and what happens to the rest of the world is not my concern. For if these apostles of bliss were to achieve the balanced consciousness of God to any degree, they would discover that you cannot achieve true freedom except in the world, that all others are a part of your own self. There is only one mind, and the surest way to the consciousness of that one mind is to serve others. So you see, dear ones, there is really nothing for it but to get in there and help others. And the greatest way to help others is to first place yourself in service to your own God self, the I Am presence. And that presence will always show you what you are to do and will manifest the consciousness through you that is necessary for that attainment. There is nothing that affects others that until you are a master does not also in some way affect you. There is nothing that you do, feel, or allow to affect you in any way that does not go forth and affect others. So it is about time you realize that you are all in this together, and that all of you are brothers and sisters and must learn to love and help each other. And I would hope that you take that to heart. There is nothing that would aid each of you individually quite so much. Remember that one brother said, "In that ye do it unto the least of my little ones, ye do it also unto me." And remember also, my children, that I, Saint Germain, though I am not of the world, am many times in the work I do for you very much in the world. And you may have already, or perhaps will again meet me, without being aware, for I will not introduce myself, of that you may be sure. Let service without concern of self, but for your own God's self alone, be your eternal guide. If you would be a master, I say act like a master. As you serve, I am with you always. Turn to me in the silence within. I am ready to take your hand. Will you take mine? In love, I am yours. I thank you. Discourse 3, Saint Germain. My dear children, and I hope you do not mind my calling you that, for you are my children and will one day know why. I would like, and indeed it is imperative, that I talk to you about what you will hear me remind you of many times, and that is the necessity of controlling your thoughts and feelings. For what master means more than any other single thing is one that has complete dominion over these dual activities of his flame. When your thoughts and feelings are disciplined, you have the reins of your control firmly in your hands. And when undisciplined, imbalance, frustration, confusion, and every despair man's earthly life is heir to. Oh, that I could impress this into your minds so surely that you would never, from this moment, allow stray thoughts and feelings to carry you into a condition that you later find you regret. Oh, how I would like to protect you from all negative conditions and keep you out of these fixes that you do get yourselves into, and that you have to then call on us to get you out of. All because of a whim, a stray thought which you gave your attention to, which strayed to linger in your world, drawing on your energy until it became too powerful to resist and you gave in, which, if you had been more alert, could have been consumed and dismissed from your world before it had gained any energy. You see, I know how it works. I know all about you blessed ones. Those of you who are so eager to open your inner vision would literally shriek at the sight of some of the thought forms. For all thoughts are forms that have been qualified in a certain way, according to the feeling of the Creator, that are floating about in the atmosphere and attaching themselves to people who, by the attention they give to these ideas, have become magnets for them. And you would certainly run the other way if you could see them. And you wonder sometimes you do not feel so well, or that you have an ache here and there, or perhaps a headache for no apparent reason. Dismiss every negative thought and feeling, and you do not, I believe, need me to tell you what negative is. Dismiss any less than perfect thought or feeling that you notice beginning to drive in on you and say, "You have no power. By the pristine, pure power of light that I am invisibly protected against all human creation." And that is all that those unpleasant things are that seem to close in on you from nowhere. Humanly created forms given independent life by the sustaining power of feeling charged into them by their Creator. You must guard your worlds against these strays, dear ones, and strays they are, with more power to harm you than a stray dog. For while the stray dog may only harm your physical dwelling, stray thoughts and feelings harm that sensitive magnetic electronic body of yours, which is your spiritual dwelling, and which you have been striving for so long and endured so much to purify. It is a crime, dear ones, to allow any strays into your world, no matter whom or what their source may be. And many times, it will be a dear friend or member of your own family. But as you are responsible, you alone, for what you allow into your world, dismiss the force acting immediately. And with this respect, I suggest that you show no mercy. In dealing with these people through whom a force is working, however, you must always remain kind and of course natural. Never do you have the right to discipline another who has free will and is responsible for himself. Your inner work concerns you alone, and of course you must not be the one to inflict anything on anyone else because of your lack of self-discipline in this area. So, dear ones, there is nothing for it but to be master of your own world. Each of you is a gardener, each responsible for what is growing in the fertile soil of his own world. If you feel upset or ill, it is because you have allowed something to grow there, or indeed it is something that you have caused to grow there yourself. Then you must say to your God self, "Dear God, please show me what is causing this condition and root it out of my world. Take my attention off it forever." I know that it has no power other than what I have given it and allowed it to take. And now, by the power of God that I am, I dissolve and consume it forever. I call on the fire of forgiveness. See to it, please, that this never happens again. I thank you. And then see to it that you do not let it happen again. You and you alone can master your attention. We cannot do it for you as much as we would like to spare you the hardship. For how would you learn? How would you become wise? How would you become a master without that experience? We do not mean to frighten you, for know that there is nothing of which you need to be afraid. However, we do warn, guide, and direct you. For we have already been through this human vale of tears, raised ourselves above it, and become forever masters over it. And so we can now share the knowledge gained from our experience with you, that you may learn by it, know the truth, and be free. And the fastest flame, which is within you, and which is the only source and sustaining power of your being and world. And these two activities of the flame are the sole determining intelligence of what will be in your world. As the two activities of fire are light and heat, so are the two activities of the fire within you, thought and feeling. And you are the keeper of that fire, God's sacred flame. And mastery of that fire is your power to create, your power to rise above the world of cause and effect. For not only were you created in the image of God, you are the image of God. All that God has you have too, in seed form. For are you not a child of God? Nourish, meditate upon that seed, and it will fill you with light. Tend and protect it through right living, in accord with the law of its nature, and it will grow, and you will be raised in consciousness into the consciousness of the one that it is, I am. And as a gardener toward that end you must work. And toward that end, all self-discipline is worth the effort. So please, dear ones, for your own sakes, and for the sake of others, make an effort to be a master of your attention. Control your thoughts and feelings at all times, for only in that mastery is your eternal freedom. I thank you. Discourse 4, Godfrey Ray King. Dear hearts, let me talk to you today about something that many of you I know have wondered about, that have heard of me and the work that I was privileged to carry out in my last earthly embodiment under Saint Germain before I raised my outer garment into my eternal body of light in the ascended master octave from where I speak to you now. I did not actually raise my flesh form, but with the divine assistance which the new dispensation of light we are now entering permits, I was able to raise my other vehicles that exist independent of the flesh form into their eternal perfection. And that is a privilege which many of you will have, and indeed the privilege of raising the flesh form as well. For we, and I say we, for are not all that love this planet, one great family. We are now entering a cycle in which the great cosmic light shall expand to such a degree that the great light shall make it easier for those that love the light, and that light will become so intense as to seem to actually intrude in all life and all human relationships. Soon you will be finding those old human relationships becoming divine relationships. Those old human cares and worries lifted from your shoulders, and the very air you breathe, the food you consume, and the very substance of your forms charged with that light. How glorious that will be! Can you see it now, dear hearts? Can you not already feel the love, the harmony, the peace, and wisdom that will prevail, that shall govern o'er the earth in supreme dominion ere long? And in that new era fast approaching, you will not wish to leave the earth. Is that a surprise to those of you who are clamoring so for your immediate ascension? Well, it should not be a surprise to you who are really applying the law, living the law, and moving into the conscious, active, harmonious dominion of your great God flame, the I Am. For as you make your sincere application, you begin to feel the great uplifting force and raising activity of that great God flame, and you will very soon feel that light intensifying in every part of your beings and worlds. Now, although this light would seem to intrude itself upon you, know that it will not enter your life or world unless you let it, and unless you request it to do so. For you have free will, and your great God self would certainly not take back from you or interfere in any way with that which was its own precious gift to you, your own freedom to choose what you will be. For know this, dear ones, once and for all time, that God will not force himself upon you. Only your sincere desire and call will draw that presence to you. And I say, if any are skeptical, why don't you try it? Just try it, dear hearts, and you will see that I know that of which I am talking. It is funny, Have you ever wondered how the blessed child knows so many things without anyone having told him? Is it strange, then, that you should be able to do the same thing as a child? You all were, if I am not mistaken, children once. Or perhaps some feel that they have advanced so far now that they need not admit it. Well, anyway, I have always marveled at how a child that really wants to know something will sit down and have a conversation with himself until he understands what it is he wants to know. And just whom do you suppose that self is that the child gets his answers from without having an inkling of who it is? Why, of course, it's his own God self. It is so simple. You too must attain this simplicity if you would be master. And did not one great master say, "Ye must become as little children if you would enter the kingdom of heaven"? Notice how that child, if he does not get the answer to his satisfaction, has no compunction about going to another child or adult and saying, "Will you help me?" And so should you ever feel toward us who are your elder brothers, that you can always ask us for assistance. First, call to your own God self. Then if that for which you have called in all sincerity is not forthcoming, do not hesitate to call on us. For to ones that are sincere we are always present. And I may tell you that I am present now to you that desire to know more of this great law, the I Am, which is the only law which ever was, is, or shall be. However, I would ask, dear hearts, that before you start calling me, you spend some time understanding the meaning of my name. Then you will know who I am, and what the nature of the activity is that it is my privilege to represent to the earth. You see, I Am is a free ray of light from God, and I am the full ascended consciousness of that ray, full dominion, for the light of God is king. So you see, when you call on me, you are really calling on your own divinity, and when you call on your own God presence, you are calling on me. For in the consciousness of the individual ray that each one is, we are one. That ray is God of one mind, raised from one central sun. So in helping you to realize that inherent divinity, I may be of special assistance to each and every one of you, and it is my great privilege to be so. Though I would ask that when you call on me and others of the ascended host, you first affirm that individual God ray that you are, I Am, then second, the presence of the particular master whose assistance you desire. And the way I request you to do that is through the affirmation, I Am. Say, I am the presence of God-free Ray King. You see, in this way, through affirming your own self first, you are affirming your own individual godhood, which makes possible whatever divine quality you have called to manifest itself in and through you. In this way, you expand your own God flame, rather than leaning on an outside presence which would only keep you dependent and weaken you, which we will not allow to happen. Remember, dear hearts, we are your brothers and sisters too. For, of course, there are many feminine masters, and your acceptance of us opens our avenues of assistance to you. However, we will not do your work for you. Let me make that very plain. And there is no way that we could do your work for you any more than when you are hungry, we could say we shall eat a meal for you. It just wouldn't do, would it? You would still be hungry. And so neither can the suffering of one brother who suffered on a cross alleviate your suffering now, except that you apply his teaching, learn by his example, accept his love, and become one with that same Father, the I Am presence, as did our beloved Jesus, who later became known as the Christ and who is here with me now. However, I, God-free Ray King, am the full acceptance and dominion of that Christ, God presence that Jesus was, and that you too can be. I am God in action, which special consciousness is my gift to you, a crystal chalice. And as I am is the consciousness of the Christ, I give to you that crystal chalice of the living Christ, that you may drink from it and attain your own eternal victory forever. I thank you. Discourse 5, Jesus. My children, I wish to add a few words to what our good brother has just said. In my ministry of 2,000 years ago, about which much is still not known, I strove to set an example of how one might, despite the tremendous opposition of the world, still overcome it. Now, if I were a special being born in a supernatural way, would my example be one that all could follow? Why, of course not. I, like you, was born of human parents, grew up through childhood, and came through sincere searching and meditation to know my own divinity as you too may know yours. And for which purpose I came into the world, to lead back to the light the lost sheep that have gone astray, to lead by example. And the essence of that example you still have recorded today in the legend of the gospel. And I wish for you not to read my story out of worship and adoration, as beautiful as your love is to me, but out of the desire to be what I have given you the example of, to know the truth of the I Am presence, which is the Christ within you, and to become that master presence. And so, if you will only go over the gospel story and see the truth of the Spirit that is contained within these words that I spoke, not the interpretation that the fanatics and bigots, the subsequent scribes and Pharisees that are still at their work today have given my words, then you will begin to know the truth. Remember, the letter killeth. It is the Spirit that giveth life. For God is Spirit, and you shall worship him in spirit and in truth. And the truth is, my beloved, that although I represent the Christ consciousness on the earth today, only you can achieve the Christ consciousness by your own humble effort. For it was in this very same way that I achieved my own, and by my example, my sacrifice, and the radiation of my love, you too shall surely achieve your own victory, resurrection, and ascension. And I say unto you, verily, as I am is the Christ, you shall. See you not? Christ is come. I thank you.
Discourse 6, Goddess of Mercy, Guanyin. Dear children, I have so much wanted to talk to you for so long. I have so much love for you, all that I wish that I could take you in my arms. Oh, to show you the beauty and let you feel the joy, the tranquil peace that passeth all human understanding of the ascended state. For you see, here one is free of all earthly cares. Growth goes on, however, growth always goes on. For you see, growth is the eternal attribute of all life. When something ceases to grow, it is no longer in phase, no longer in harmony with life. And so life begins to leave it behind, and the light becomes dimmer and dimmer until that thing or condition that no longer grows, no longer has sufficient light to sustain it, and it ceases to exist. Though that need not be. Ah, how many tears man would be saved if he would realize that. For you see, even though we would give you chance after chance to learn, to benefit from your experience, if you refuse to see that in all your experience is a lesson, a divine plan for your growth and well-being, well, then there is nothing we can do for you, for you are masters of your own fates, and we cannot interfere with the choices that you make. We can only love you and pour forth the great light of divine understanding to you, that light and compassionate understanding and wisdom from our realm may illuminate your path and lead you to victory, and that the understanding love we have for you may you also have for your fellows. For no one labors alone. All that labor in their growth are eased as they seek to ease the pain and the sorrow and travail of others. Remember, in that ye have done it unto the least of my little ones, ye have done it also unto me. And sometimes it is so easy to do a small thing that may mean so much to another, even just a pat on the shoulder. Do not feel that by showing mercy, you may be interfering with justice. For I assure you, dear children, justice is inexorable, and divine justice can no more be stopped from coming forth than can the sun after rain. Though be careful that in your human understanding of mercy, you do not allow yourself to become drawn by sympathy into the working of that justice which divine law is bringing into effect in the life of the one you would help. For that would not be mercy, but foolishness. Nothing would be gained by your own suffering, when really the suffering of the one you would help is almost invariably caused by transgression of or blindness to some point of law. And suffering is the only way that the individual God self can make the individual human consciousness come to that realization. And so you see, sometimes it is the greatest mercy to stand aside and with all the love of your heart bless that one and enfold him in the mantle of compassion. And so, remember the difference between sympathy and compassion. Sympathy comes from human weakness and failure to understand the law. Compassion comes from God and is divine. And that compassion in action is mercy. And the most merciful thing that you can do is to be always tolerant in your thoughts and feelings toward others and toward every living thing, to think nothing but good. That is what true mercy is. I thank you. Discourse 7, Goddess of Loving Charity. Do you know, dear ones, what true charity is? My dear sister, Guanyin, has told you that mercy, which is the activity of her nature, is compassion in action. So in a larger sense are her activity and my activity, which is the activity of charity, both the same great activity, which is that of love, the pouring forth of God's love into the world. And that love is the very essence of the Christ, for God is love, and the greatest gift that you can give to one another is love. The way to give love is to be love. I am the loving charity of God pouring forth into the minds and hearts of individuals everywhere. This will be of invaluable assistance. Would you embark upon that labor of love, which is the mission of the Christ? Think on that, my beloved, and as you think, be that Christ, and you will find your whole world changing. What you pour forth, what you radiate into the world comes back to you amplified manyfold. So if you give of your love to others, surely you will be loved. And I do not know any of you that would not care to have more love. For is not love the most important thing in life? Although perhaps the men may say that having the feminine attribute of the flame, I am partial in that direction. But I think that you ladies, if you ask the men, you will find that they too want love. Is that not so? Of course, love must be balanced. And that balance is found only in the Christ, the presence of the God flame within you. And would you find that love which you seek, you must first find and dwell within that flame. And those that feel that they have been hurt by love, I say this love can never hurt. It is true love, your seamless garment, your eternal protection that consumes all unlike itself. Love conquers all, for God is love. And before love, all imperfection, all disharmony must fade. For that love is a great light that fills all space, all substance, all consciousness with itself, and itself is sufficient unto all things. My beloved, I pray you be more loving with one another. For do you not see that the other is really only another face of your own self? I am here. I am there. I am the only presence everywhere, the love of God in action. I am yours. Call on me. If you are having trouble meditating, I will help you. If you will silently affirm within the stillness of your being, I am loving charity, I think you will find my effect very soothing. And should you wish a triple blessing, call faith, hope, and loving charity together. For the three of us represent three aspects of the one flame, and you will discover for yourselves who we are and what we can do. Remember, I am as the faith, hope, the loving charity of God in action, a sustaining force which shall carry you to your sure certain victory. I thank you. Discourse 8, Goddess of Grace. Although I wish to address the gentlemen as well as the ladies, my heart goes out particularly to you ladies who have that certain grace which mankind finds so lacking in life, and to which they have looked to you rare ones for that balancing touch. Soon, mankind will no longer think of grace, or any of the previously called feminine attributes, as feminine alone, but as divine attributes to be cultivated and practiced in life by all of God's children. What you mean by the label male and female pertains only to the flesh form, while the higher nature and its masculine and feminine attributes could better be described as predominantly of the mental or predominantly of the feeling nature. And though every flame manifests both the attributes of mind and feeling, usually one predominates, and the nature is called masculine if chiefly mental and feminine if chiefly feeling. Though in the perfect Christ being, both attributes of the flame are in perfect balance, neither one predominant, both working together as the one they in fact are. It is only in the more material worlds where the duality that we have today is known. For the very nature of matter is dual, and the nature of duality is suffering. For where one is split into two, the halves will always be longing for and striving to attain the other part of themselves, striving for completion. And herein lies the material for a treatise of the history of the sufferings of the world. But I will spare you, for I feel that with suffering you are familiar enough. But do not miss the point. Only in the conscious return of the individual to his single God flame, which is within him, can he regain his lost estate, the happiness, the completion, the oneness that are his birthright and destiny. How long you look for that joy in outer pursuits, outer things, and outer personal love relationships is up to you. For no matter how close and in love with another of God's children you may be, and no matter how much that one may be in love with you, it is not the true love of the God flame, which is the only doorway to the eternal love, perfection, and freedom of your true God self. And until you abandon the pursuit of all outer things and turn to the presence within you, then that long will you lack the completion, the balance, the happiness for which you so long. How the human cries out and wants the best of both worlds. Alas, you know that it cannot be. You must have either the spiritual world of the one perfect pure existence or the material world of duality, alternating between transitory human pleasures and their consequent sorrows, the world of suffering. And self-discipline, mastery, is the only escape from that duality into which you have been born and from which you must eventually arise and go into the Father. The light seeks its own. When man blocks that light, inner conflict and suffering is the result. And when you are suffering, blame no one but yourself. Do not blame each other for your suffering, dear ones. Especially you husbands and wives. Do not argue about who is at fault or which of you must do what. That is not the way. Can you not see that? Love is not something that you can bargain. Only the peace and grace of God's love within you can open the door to your human creation into that pure kingdom of the single flame of pure etheric substance, the very nature of which is limitless joy. And when you have once tasted of that joy, you will be so grateful for my reminding you to persevere, to hold fast to what you know is right. And when you do hold fast to what you know is right, each step will be illuminated for you. Not the whole way at once, but each step as you take it, one at a time. And it is up to you to take that step in perfect balance and with perfect grace. And you see now that all those qualities, grace, kindness, charity, and peace, are so needed by all God's children. And until you return to that one single flame and forever raise your material form and world out of the world of duality into the ascended state, who among you has the perfect balance to walk the steps to mastery unaided without our helping hand? Remember, I am the grace of God. And if you wish my assistance or that of any other ascended master, you must feel free to call on us. And by that grace which I am, you shall be answered. I thank you.
Discourse 9. Hilarion, the Great. One day, one of the students who was and still is under my guidance and instruction asked a question of the one to whom I had brought him for instruction at the time. And the question asked that day in all seriousness was, what does the body of God look like? Well, I may tell you, I hope without offending anyone's sense of propriety, that we too have a sense of humor, and that I had a good laugh over this. And both the individuals involved had a laugh too. For you might say, my laughter is contagious. The truth of the matter is really so simple. It is staring you right in the face every moment of your existence. It is astonishing to us that this elementary truth should still, in this day when man's scientific advancement has gone so far, remain unknown. Well, of course, we were really delighted by this question. In fact, we wish you would ask questions of us more often, as long as you are sincere. For it is only by asking questions as a child asks that true understanding is open to you. No matter how humble a question, when you ask as a child, we do not hesitate to answer you, or see that the answer is forthcoming to you in some way which you can directly perceive. And I may say, according to the degree of sincerity, the degree of your true desire for knowledge is the degree to which you are answered. For every call, every question in the mind of man is a magnet, and that magnet inexorably attracts in the perfect time the answer to it. And even those who do not know this great law, how to make the call directly to their own Godhead who pray in their own way, are also answered according to the degree of their sincerity. For every thought at every point in the universe, no matter how remote, is heard and responded to, though of course not as directly as if the individual had made the call directly to his own God self. So you see how important it is to know what you want and how important to say only what you mean and not to say or even think anything whether about yourself or another that you do not mean or wish to happen. For thoughts are things. They go forth into the universe to act according to the thought and feeling of the one, whether consciously or unconsciously, that is sending them out. You see, the universe is a great switchboard and each of you is an operator. Those who pray are requesting that another operator, some unknown God, put the call through for them, while the one who knows and is in contact with his own God flame, which is the central switchboard, can put the call through himself, and he becomes one of the helpers that can, if he be sincere in his desire to serve, answer, and put through the calls of others. You see, the universe is a great hierarchy. Just as on Earth you have countries, states, counties, districts, and neighborhoods all administered and represented by their corresponding governments, assemblies, commissions, councils, and associations, so too on all levels of God's creation are there similar governing bodies for the control and distribution of infinite supply, the limitless light which is everywhere, and which is made manifest as needed and called forth at the corresponding frequency and intensity to the place in creation at which the individual finds himself in his current state of evolution. The keynote of all creation is order, and that order is maintained by the divine hierarchy of which we, the ascended masters, are for the earth, the principal part. Know also that there are cosmic masters, some of whose bodies span solar systems, as well as their angels, seraphim, and elementals that may work within the smallest atom. Life is everywhere. There is nowhere life is not, and that life is light, intelligence, wisdom, power, and love, which is perfect order. And so, as you come to understand the great laws of order, you come to understand how everything is put together and how everything operates. And you come to understand yourself. You come to understand this great self that you are, and come to understand all things. Man, know thyself. Are you beginning to understand now, my dear ones, what the body of God is? I hope so. Just think about it. Think about the great central flame within the center of your being. Dwell upon it and allow it to expand until you are in the middle of it. And it is all about you and in you. See what a son you have become, what a son you are. And this is the pattern for all creation. Understand the laws governing your own light, and you will understand the laws governing all light. As you become a son, for each of you is becoming a son, so in like manner did the son of this system become a son, as has every electron. For the consciousness, the law, the intelligent electronic substance of the great central sun, composes, animates, and causes to continue in its orderly operation and joyful existence all creation. Of all beings, only in the mind of man is there any consciousness of want or lack of order. Is that not amazing that in the life of one of his greatest creations God should allow disorder, lack, suffering, and despair to exist? O dear hearts, when will you see that these things do not exist except in the mind, the 5% material world of which the human mind is composed? For the mind in the human sense is matter material, and of the materialistic consciousness of lack, which thinks me and mine and identifies with and attaches itself to conditions of the material world. Hence the world of illusion, the world of suffering and pain. For if you knew that you were not that mind, but the divine mind which is the heart of God, that the very light and consciousness of the Creator was within you, then you would be free of the consciousness of lack. Then you would be free of all illusion, wholly pure and perfect. You would be one with bliss, for light everywhere is bliss and wisdom. And he who understands and becomes this, in every part of his being, he is free. He is a conscious creator, a God being. Know ye not that ye are gods? So our anatomy lesson draws to a close, though the lesson of which we are all a part never draws to a close. Think on these things, this little seed that I have given to you today. If you put the seed away for safekeeping for a rainy day, you will lose it. At best, it will stay only a seed. But if you plant the seed immediately, in other words, if you take this great law into the depth of your being and there meditate on it, nourish it by your light and love, and give it the freedom that it needs in order to grow, then you will have something. And what is something? This is the grain of mustard seed, which appears the littlest of seeds, yet what Jesus likened unto the kingdom of heaven. This is the idea in the heart of man, the image of what he may become, a God. And the feeling of the reality of that idea within your heart is the pearl of great price, the pearl for which a wise man parted with all he possessed in order to obtain. Bless you, my children. I thank you. Discourse 10. Sanath Kumara. My dear ones, perhaps if I tell you a little about myself, you will understand better the activity that for your earth I represent. I am one of the directing masters of the planet Venus, part of that hierarchy which is similar to your own hierarchy of ascended masters, the Great White Brotherhood, with which you are now learning to work and become part of, and which work and cooperation brings love to my heart. For if you knew how long I have waited for this day, you would think me a very patient soul indeed, and I am. For love is patient. So patient was I that from the time of the close of a former age in the Earth's great evolution, when things became so dark, it was not thought that the race of man would long endure. And many who wished to go on with their own evolution thought it best to leave Earth to its own self-created fate. I came forth and said, "No, I think that the people of Earth can be saved. I will go forth to that planet." And with all the love of the ones who volunteered and that I chose to come with me, I came to Earth and here set up my home. And many thousands of years did I patiently wait before I knew whether or not I would succeed. And now I know that I have, and I thank you. I thank you with all the great love of my heart. And from all those who came with me, I bring the joy and blessings from the people of Venus. For as you may have known, the destinies of the Earth and Venus are as closely interrelated as are the rose and the vine on which it grows. Venus is your sister planet, a part of the great flame of which the Earth is composed. Your twin ray, if you would have it so. And many are the souls now on Earth that have had embodiments on our humble planet at one time or another. For all growth is an expanding, balancing process. And what attribute, what quality of light is lacking in one's own environment he seeks elsewhere? A process which nothing can stop, least of all what certain unillumined ones call death. For all life seeks its eternal perfection. And this seeking for perfection is the motivating force behind all desire. When, and only when, that perfect balance has been attained is one capable of true love. True love is selfless. It wants nothing for itself. It is already full. And out of that fullness, out of its own joy and happiness, it wishes to share, to give itself, to expand and embrace all in the wonder of itself. That is the nature of God, to give love. It is only the human, the mind, that wants love, for it is material. Love is spiritual. The human is transitory. Love is eternal. The human is arrogant. Love is humble. And in always looking outside itself for that love, in its self-concern and pride, it misses that very love it so much wants. The love that is waiting so patiently, flickering ever so faintly within the heart of every individual. But you may say, "I have already looked there." Then look again and again and again until you find it. And it is yours, for it is there and there alone. And it is for this that I came from Venus and have waited patiently so many thousands of years. Could you not try, dear ones, even for a moment to find that which I have brought you? First you must be still. Relax, as serenely I unfold you in the same love that I plant within each human heart, a love which passeth all human understanding. So do not try to understand. Feel. And if you feel that love, then you feel me. And you have taken the gift that I have brought you into your heart. I am with you always, for I am that love. And that love is the center of all things. It is that love that holds the electron in its orbit around the atom. It is that love that holds the planets in their orbits about the sun. It is that love that should hold the mind of man to its own God flame, the great central sun within you. For even the atoms of the brain itself are obedient and responsive to that love. Though the consciousness of the individual man using those atoms may wander, as in most cases it has, in another direction entirely. And therein has been man's dilemma. As an individual's mind begins to wander from its center to create patterns of its own, the very electrons that those new thought patterns impress begin to lose their centers. And first the etheric, then the denser strata of the individual's world, and the world of those upon whom his attention rests begin to fall apart, until finally the disharmony makes itself felt in the physical stratum as sickness, despair, and disorder of every imaginable kind. And when a whole group or society holds similar patterns of thought and feeling, the disharmonious energy generated thereby is very great. Is it little wonder then that those societies find themselves involved in wars, depressions, turmoil, and experience of every conceivable lack, the origin of which they little understand? When these depressions get too great, the societies involved try to clear themselves of the pressure by having it out, which really means the collective energy of the mass of the electrons that man has affected reasserts its natural desire for perfect alignment perfection. The electrons, through the consuming activity of the fire element which dissolves and consumes that which man has created and impressed upon the mass of electrons, then return to their original orbits about their centers, having thrown off their human accumulation and expressed the purity and balance of their original state, the full expression of the divine love of their being, the true, original and final state of all God's creation everywhere. And whatever, whether through pride or ignorance, that does not come into full and perfect harmony with the divine love of its nature, must eventually dissolve and pass out of existence. Love, the fire of creation, can also be the fire of destruction when man does not create in harmony, when that fire is misused. That is what has happened to man in the past. Through misuse of the light, he has caused great destruction, which, as it always must, has returned upon the ones responsible and destroyed not only them, but their environments and the very continents with their populations upon which man dwelt. You see how dangerous it is to play with these atoms. And I want to say right now, man's attempt to exploit the power of the atom is now the greatest single threat to man's existence being forced unknowingly upon the innocent peoples of the earth. This must stop, and we will see to it that it does stop. The alternative is too ghastly for the human mind to comprehend. It is the old story of Pandora and the beautiful box. She thought that she had found something good, but when she discovered what it was that she had found, it was too late to stop. She had already unleashed great suffering on man, and she could not put back into the box which she had let escape. But do you know what the very last thing was that was left in the box? It was hope. All alone, hope was all that was left. And we have hope for mankind that he will learn from his past and profit by that wisdom which Pandora only achieved at so great a price. Each of you bears a responsibility in that respect. Keep in mind that your every thought and feeling affects the atoms of your and your neighbor's world, and for that destiny of those atoms, you bear the responsibility. For what the great directing intelligence of this solar system is to the planets of the system, your own individual God self is to your own body with all its constituent parts, which parts, as the saying, as above so below is true, correspond to those planets. And so you see, in this way you affect and are affected by all creation. You have free will and are a conscious creator at every moment of your existence. And you never cease to exist, for life is eternal. Now do you begin to see your responsibility to life, dear ones, that you cannot think, feel, act, or speak, and speaking is acting, without the consequences of your action returning to you. And return they do, amplified many times. For every wave of energy sent out is a living magnet drawing like waves unto itself until, moving in unison, they grow to tremendous peaks before falling again back to their source. They travel in grooves, as it were, and when they reach their limit, they come back to the sender. And woe unto him who has sent forth anything less than love, less than charitable to his fellow man, that he would not want to experience. For it is the law of creation that what you have caused another to experience, you will at some time, some place, whether this lifetime or another, experience yourself. That, do you not see, is the only way it could be. How else would man learn responsibility? If you would view all your experience today as partially the effects of previous causes, which you yourself have set into motion, coupled, of course, with the free will you have at every moment that enables you to choose to discriminate light from darkness, to seek forgiveness and rise above all effects, then you would have a clearer view of your existence. Everything that takes place on the earth in the material world first takes place in the realm of thought. Earth is the realm of effect. Cause and cause alone from the higher realm of thought is master of all that happens here. And only by mastering your thought can you ever ascend into the realm of light and become a being of cause alone. Remember, although all causes have their effects, and although you must experience the effects of all causes which you have set in motion, still there is forgiveness. A law unto itself which makes it possible for you to rise out of the world of what would be otherwise a limitless chain of cause and effect without respite. By the grace of God, man was created in God's image and likeness. And like the God that he is, man has the ability to forgive. And in that forgiveness, which is a great blazing flame that dissolves and consumes all discordantly qualified energy and binding limitation in which the individual has bound himself through many ages, is that flame of divine love which dissolves and consumes all human creation and sets the individual, wholly pure and perfect, before the doorway of his eternal freedom. Visualize the fire of forgiveness as a great violet fire blazing up through and around you and throughout your world, starting far down in the earth and leaping in great waves of light about you everywhere, soaring overhead. And if at the same time you will couple that visualization and qualification with the expression, I am, you will release the flame's full power. I am the violet consuming flame blazing up in, around, and through me and through my world. You will do yourself and your world, or anyone, or any condition in or upon which you feel called to act, no matter where on the earth that person or condition may be, inestimable good. Soon you will be using this flame daily in ways that you have never dreamed, and the results you will obtain are at this time beyond your present power of comprehension. So great and wonderful is the effect of this mighty flame. And though the violet fire may be invisible to your outer sight until you have raised your sight sufficiently, which raising activity the violet fire performs, you are the fire's keeper. Yes, each of you is a keeper of the flame. But of what good is that if you only keep it and do not use it? So use it, I beg you. Use the violet consuming flame, and you will make not only me but Saint Germain very happy. For Saint Germain is the Chohan of the violet ray, which is the seventh ray, and had you not guessed, he is here with me now. The violet consuming flame is his special gift to mankind at this time, which has made possible man's so rapid clearing from certain conditions, so-called karmic accumulations, which had they been allowed to continue would have prevented the great expansion of the light for the birth of the new age which all, especially I, have so long awaited. If you wish to have greater understanding of this flame and its use, and your own individual mission in its use in establishing and sustaining your own individual freedom, so that as a clear free being, you may assist Saint Germain in his blessed service in bringing in this new age, then speak to him, and I am sure that he will be only too charmed to reply. He assures me now that this is so. I bid you adieu, but not goodbye. Bless you and remember, I am love. I thank you. Discourse 11, Saint Germain. As I have already been introduced, I will say a few words to you about the way in which each of you may assist me in my work, which is that of bringing in the new golden age. But you must understand that before you can assist me, first you must be absolutely free. For if I gave you a certain work to carry out and you became sidetracked along the way by some desire or human trait that had not been purified out of you, then it would hardly do, would it? So, dear ones, you see how earnestly I desire your freedom, with which attribute the activity of helping individuals attain their freedom I am most closely associated. That as one great brotherhood of free beings, we may go forth together and bring light and freedom to the rest of the people of the earth. This is the work in which I am involved. Do you care to me? I hope more than anything that you do desire to help me. For only in this way, by becoming a part of this great white brotherhood, will you ever attain the happiness, the joy of the glorious ascended state which is your destiny. And as this state of freedom is only open to those that are pure, for the substance of which it is composed is pure and incapable of containing any imperfection, then the only thing for you to do is get busy and purify yourselves. And by that, dear ones, I mean now. And how do you purify yourself? It is so simple. Why, first and foremost, you must desire to be pure. For as you know, what your attention is upon you become. And if your attention is on purity, you have the battle already 50% conquered. Now for the remaining 50%, you will have to roll up your sleeves and get to work. Examine yourself as though you were to present yourself to me for military inspection, and I assure you I have very good vision and will, as they say, look behind the ears. Now, what I want you to see is God knows you better than you know yourself. You can't fool him and get away by putting on a front, which some of you try to do even to the extent that you fool yourselves. For really to look at yourself and say, now what is it that I really need to work on? What things in my world are holding me back? In what way could I be a stronger, more obedient, more loving and better person? To do that takes courage. And dear friends, if you are to walk this path to victory, mastery, eternal dominion over all things human, courage is something you need more of. You need courage and you need faith. But before you can have either of these, you must have hope. For hope is the foundation of all human achievement, and without hope can nothing constructive be achieved. Hope is the pure desire that what you wish for is possible, and that it is possible for you. It is the key, and that it is possible for you. It is the key to all good that has ever come into your world, and that ever will come into your world. Hope is the open doorway into the very heart of God. Hope leads you to faith, and faith is the realization that what God has allowed you to desire is possible, and the inspiration by your example of that hope and faith in others is charity. As a child of the one God, I am, you contain within you all the attributes of the Father. You, as a conscious creator, may command through the understanding and exercise of your inherent divine faculties all that God Himself may command, and it is your privilege to do so. And it is my privilege to help you attain that state of oneness with the Father, the I Am presence, that all that you hope for becomes an immediate reality through the instantaneous consciousness and power of the light that I am. And it is my hope that you will all go ahead now and begin to attain what I have shown you, and that with my assistance you will soon learn to make that vision a reality. For as you learn obedience to the great I Am presence which is within and above you, in which you learn to contact within your heart, with which presence I and all the ascended masters are one. And as you purify yourselves, we shall be able to assist you more and ever work with and instruct you from within. And you will find that as you become purer and purer, we are drawing closer and ever closer to you. And as if by miracle, all the things that you could have wished for are beginning to come into being. For all that you shall ever attain already exists as possibility. It is only waiting for you to claim it and make it your reality. And in this new consciousness that you are moving into, you will, though still on the earth as tangible visible presence, through the assistance which we alone are privileged to give, begin to live and work in your body of light, which you yourself have created and over which you are a complete master. This will be the beginning of your entry into the kingdom of heaven. My dear friends, with your help, and if it is to succeed, I do need your help, we will go forth together as one great brotherhood of God of which all are a part, and make this kingdom a reality. This is the new golden age in the birth of which you all have a mission, and it is in helping you to purify and perfect yourselves for that mission, to move forward as master, the ladies as well, in which it is my honor and privilege to be of assistance to you. This is my great joy, for this time, as many of you are ready to move forth, is the time for which I have waited many centuries. In Europe, during the time leading up to the French Revolution, I worked in tangible visible form, though I assure you I could be quite invisible if I wished, in an attempt to divert the destructive forces that were then in action and to attempt to bring forth the new age at that time. However, as has most often been the case, selfish human forces working through those in power interfered, and as the expansion of the cosmic Christ had not reached the degree that it now has, there was nothing I could do to intercede. I had to withdraw and allow the inertia of human creation to take its course. Hence the French Revolution. I want you to know, my friends, that now we shall succeed. The eternal decree has gone forth. Man shall be free. And it is toward the realization of that freedom that I am now placing this truth before you, that through your own humble effort and with the least travail possible you may attain that freedom. And I want to be crystal clear that only in knowing that truth and in the practice of that truth shall you be free. And that truth is I am. For I am is the great key and password into the presence of God, your own God self, and is your own individual expression of the full manifestation of God in action. There have through the ages been many races and many languages, each with its own expression for divinity, and I do not wish to comment on the many expressions which sincere seekers may now be using. However, it is the Master's hope, and by masters I mean of course ascended masters, that all students of the light come to understand and to use at all times the expression I am in whatever their native language, not only in their meditation but in every phase of their lives and activities, to bring them as surely and steadily as possible through our assistance and their own steadfast application to that sure certain dominion which is awaiting them. I cannot emphasize this enough, dear ones. There is no other expression, phrase, word, practice, or exercise that will raise you into the ascended Master's consciousness, which is God consciousness, so certainly and swiftly as the conscious use and understanding of I am. This is the single consciousness that is one without a second, the consciousness of the ascended Master. This is the single consciousness that all sincere students must attain. Though there are many so-called paths now being taught in our beloved America, there is in the end no real path, dear ones, but the straight path, and I am that path. I am is the open door into the very heart of God, the I am presence. And only I am will open the way to our direct ascended master assistance that is imperative if you are to have our sustained raising activity required for the ultimate step, ascension, which is your eternal clearance from the earth, your entry into the next octave of existence, the divine. It is this same ascension which Jesus attained, and which you with our assistance may also attain, and only through the raising activity of I am the resurrection of my form and world is that ascension possible. When Jesus said, I am the way, the truth and the life, it was to this way, that of the I am, to which he referred. Due to the opposition of forces and the subsequent distortion of the events surrounding his life and ministry, and the very words he spoke have been subjected to by proponents of the many dogmas which are still prevalent today, there has been very little that has come to light of these teachings which he gave to the few who were ready regarding the I am and his own use of I am, decrees and affirmations with which his statements, only some of which are recorded in the biblical records, are filled. Their very vibration, however, is indelibly imprinted in the aura of the planet. So deep was his understanding of their meaning and use, and so fully was he charged with the energy which their continual application brings forth. The power which all who hear repeated today the I am affirmations that he used can feel, and so too will many of you become so charged and raised that you will do the same works as the Master Jesus. And as he himself said, greater works than these shall ye do. And there are many that have done and are doing now these greater works, though for the most part it is the nature of their work to remain silent and unknown. It is in precisely the same way as my brother Jesus, according to the same eternal law, by the same power of God that I, Saint Germain, accomplished and am still accomplishing these works, and that you shall also. No, he that uses the I am has the kingdom of heaven, the full consciousness of God in action and the ascended host of light, who are the full manifestation of that always close at hand. That way, that kingdom is the I am that I am. I, Saint Germain, am one with that same presence that you are and that Jesus is. Is that not amazing? Why, it should be no more amazing than to say we are all one in the Father. It is only another much more direct way of saying the same thing. You see, my children, there is a tremendous difference between the understanding of oneness and the calling that oneness into action. And this great difference is why I am and wish you to be so adamant. And you know what adamant is? Like a diamond. Concerning your acceptance and use of the expression, the actual words I am. For it is only through that conscious expression from your own God self that the one consciousness can be called forth to act for and in you and raise you into your full being in the ascended state. And only through the assistance of the ascended host of light, which your use of the expression I am permits us to give, and which assistance is the sustaining power behind all calls of fully sustained effect. Does anyone ever reach the ascended state? Though your application may be very great, and we assume that if you are serious it will be, the only way those calls may be permanently sustained is through the addition of our sustaining light, substance, and activity that none not ascended, no matter what they may claim, is capable of bringing into manifestation. For we are that light, and by that light alone shall you know us. I am going to give you some instruction now on the use of these affirmations, which expressions of your own divinity will bring about that which you wish through the dominion of your own God self, directed by the faculty, which is a twin faculty, visualization qualification. You cannot have one without the other. Where there is thought, there is feeling. Where there is feeling, there is thought. Visualize that which your affirmation calls for already taking place. Then at the same time qualify that thought by your feelings. In other words, modulate your feeling energy flowing forth from your heart, so that in the dual activity of the mind and heart you focus the energy of your own I am presence on the manifestation which you by your word, spoken or silent, are calling into being, and by the power of God and by the divine law by which that power operates, that upon which you have focused your attention shall come into being as surely as day follows night. For it is law, and nothing can change the law. So do not despair when you are making a call, and you do not see the immediate results. The result is there, though you may not yet have sufficient inner vision to see it. For God works from the inside out, that is, all manifestation takes place on the inner planes of existence first. Then as more conscious light substance is added, begins to manifest on the other more dense planes. Though remember, all planes are God planes. God is everywhere, and there is nowhere that God is not. And it is by the very fact of God everywhere that what you conceive in your mind in one part of the universe can manifest in another part of the universe. For there is only one substance, one consciousness, and that one is the consciousness of your own God self, I am. When you use an affirmation, dear ones, keep in mind that it is the power of God alone that is the sure certain fulfillment of your call, and consequently there need be no rush or mental strain involved at all. As certainly as you say the words in the center of your being, the manifestation is going forth, and that for which you are calling is coming into being, nay, it is already. The affirmations below are of inestimable benefit to all who seek the light, to those who aspire to mastery, and to my students I especially recommend them. I am the living light. I am the presence of God. I am the open door which no man can shut. I am here. I am there. I am the only presence everywhere. Of all affirmations, however, the one that I recommend to you above all others, which will, if used steadily, with full understanding of its meaning, raise all human activity into the ascended master octave is, I am the resurrection and the life. And for this reason, it was the one most used by the Master Jesus and the one which made his raising of his own flesh form possible. If you remain calm and humble, yet determined in your dynamic application, you will, through the activity in your own feeling world, become aware of the raising activity of this call above all others and begin to understand its full meaning. A more profound meaning is not to be found in any other expression in any language on the earth today. It was by the use of this call, and this call alone, that Jesus was able to accomplish what he did. And it may, and I dare say it will be easier for you. For the cosmic light has reached a greater expansion today than it had at his time, and greater assistance from the ascended master octave may be given, and is being given, and will continue to be given until America and the earth itself is raised into that sphere of light and attainment where all God's children are one, once again with their own God selves, and it is one world without end. So be it, so shall it be. And so, dear ones, if you will use the I am, you will open wide the floodgates from the ascended master octave for us to flood you with an assistance, fill your worlds with a light you had not dreamed possible. As you join our ranks, you will further see our great wisdom in releasing the teachings of the use of this expression through the English language and the American people at this time. For it is in America, through the continued use of and obedience to the law and the use and application of these affirmations, which are a part of that law and daily application made by each individual in the individual's own words, that the greatest light and the greatest freedom that the world has ever known will be made possible. Mark my words. This light cannot, never has, and never will fail. For the light of God never fails. The light of God never fails. The light of God never fails, and the presence of God I am is that light. I thank you. Discourse 12, Godfrey Ray King. Dear hearts, and you are my dear hearts, would you let me share with you some thoughts regarding my experience here on your beautiful earth? Perhaps if we just have a heart-to-heart talk, we shall have an understanding between us, which would, I assure you, give me great pleasure. Then don't you see the assistance that I can give you will be so much greater? Since it was not so very long ago that I cleared from the earth, I decided that as many of you are today faced with the same things that I was faced with, I would come to you now in this way, and that by sharing some of my thoughts concerning what I had to undergo, I might be of assistance to you in helping you clear your worlds of every last vestige of your humanly created limitation, so that you may walk forward absolutely free in the knowledge of your sure certain victory. And that victory for all hearts, who will give obedience to the great law of the I am, is a certainty as surely as I am speaking to you here now from the ascended master octave of light. Chance, dear ones, has nothing to do whatsoever with your success on the ascended master path. For whosoever you may be and wheresoever you are in life is a direct result of your own effort and the activity of your own life stream at one time or another. Though I know many of you certainly wonder during many an experience why you are going through some of the trying things you are faced with. Many a surprising thing there may be that rears its head for you to deal with that you had never expected to encounter in a 1,000,000 years, if at all. But take courage, dear hearts. I say to you, all experience that the sincere student of the law is faced with is not by chance, but is a definite part of his growth and evolution, a definite part of the plan of his life stream, and must be faced and squarely dealt with. I say this to you with all the certainty of my being as I am here before you now. You must face your experience, and there are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Just get with it, as you like to say. You must learn to be in the world. You can no more escape difficult experiences and still continue to grow than you could expect to breathe were you to live in a vacuum. My experience is the very grist for the mill on which you are nourished and grow in mastery. And without experience, you could not become master. Without the world, how could you overcome the world? Without experience, how become master over your experience? And so, the lesson that you must learn is be in the world, but not of the world. You must learn to get your guidance and direction right here in the thick of it, and not feel any self-pity when the going gets rough. You must learn to face your experience, stand right up and say, "See here, I am the presence of God here, and by the power of light that I am, I command the perfect thing to come about instantaneously," and then allow it to do so, and it will. Just stand your ground perfectly calm and serene and wait patiently to see what that perfect thing is. And won't you be surprised when you see God in action? How perfectly your God self will handle it every time. And handle it will. Why it must, don't you see? For it is the law and has no choice but to handle it. And then you will see why it was necessary for you to have that experience. You will see what it has shown you either about yourself, or someone else, or some working of the law that you needed elucidated. For if you are to become wise, experience you must have, and wisdom is the state to which you must attain if you would become master and be of service to others. I wish you, my students, to know all others, not just you who are consciously so, but all others are on the path. And as evolving masters, it is your duty to be ready and able to help anyone, anywhere, anytime, no matter how humble his position in life may seem or how far from things of the spirit he may seem. For, dear ones, all are seeking whether they talk about it or not, and you never, I repeat, you never know the spiritual evolution of another of God's children. With regard to the growth of the life stream, all terms such as high and low are relative, for with regard to evolution there is no end. Even in the ascended state, we are growing and evolving. Though we have transcended entirely all human limitation and are wholly God beings in every way. For life is growth, and all that is alive is growing in one way or another. Should something cease to grow, it passes out of existence. One must never look down on another of God's creatures, for no matter how advanced one may be, there are always those more advanced on whose assistance and love one's own further growth is dependent. So, you see, my dears, that to have faith in us who are more advanced and have already transcended the human octave, to have faith in your own God self with which we are one, and to seek to help others who are also a part of that one is the true equality of the light by which all men are created equal, and is the sure certain path to harmony with all creation. In my own experience, dear hearts, I had to face every imaginable situation, and I want to tell you, sometimes I thought that I could not go on, so great was the force that seemed to be against me, and it was all that I could do to extricate myself. But never did I despair, although I was close to it many times, for I knew that if I did not master a certain force, I would be faced with experiences over and over again where that same force would come into action, until my determination to overcome was so great that my dynamic application of the law became a conquering presence, and never again did that force have any power over me, because, don't you see, I was then master over it. My dear ones, on some occasions people even came and said right to my face, "I'm going to get you." And I would call immediately to God, my own I am God presence, and say, "No, that you will not." And they would say, "Who's going to stop me?" And I would reply with the full conviction that I am, God within you will stop you. And all the time that individual was before me, I would be silently blessing that one and calling to his own God presence within him to take command there. For I always knew and held in my consciousness at these times that one part of God cannot and never did harm any other part of God, despite the human sense consciousness that tries to convince one to the contrary. And my inner faith in this would be so firm that as a result of this consciousness of God in action, I am, the action of the light within us both would be so intensified, and we would be so raised that not only would I be invincibly protected, but the other individual would beg for forgiveness and be a changed person from that time on. And you can, each of you, do the same thing. And I tell you that you can. Once before a large audience, an individual aimed a revolver at me, and though fully loaded, It refused to fire when the trigger was pulled. My life appeared to be in grave physical danger, though I knew that it was not. For through my intense previous application and through the electronic shield that I had generated through that application, I was invincibly protected. Though I made dynamic application at that moment, nonetheless, you dear ones can be sure. You see, through sincere daily, may continuous effort and application of these great laws, I had brought into my world that calm certain faith which I always sustained, that certain knowledge of the reality of God in me. And so ever was and ever shall be, you can be sure of that now, invincibly protected and victorious in the light. And so will it be with you if you make continuous application. For as you learn to make your meditation a prayer without ceasing, you become a divine storehouse of energy so charged as to act or assume any form instantaneously at the bidding and under the direction of your own God self. There are some who are now children who, as their parents raise them in the full knowledge of the use of this law, will be able to exercise their natural God consciousness in the precipitation of whatsoever they may desire. And in these cases, I dare say, the parent will learn from the child. And that is one thing about this great law. Even a child can understand it, and that is the identifying trademark of all our teachings, simplicity. Why, dear ones, I have seen children of 4 and 5 years of age use these simple affirmations and achieve results that leave their parents amazed. And then you can bet that the parents get busy and make their application too. What could be more beautiful than the pure manifestation of the living Christ in all its childlike simplicity and grace? It is this childlike faith that you must have. First, you use it on small things, and when you discover that it works, then you use it on larger things, and in this way you build faith, and faith casteth out all imperfection. You know, dear ones, what mankind needs more than any single thing is faith. Yes, of course, love is needed, but faith is a form of love, that form of love which casts out fear and doubt, the absolute knowledge of the presence of God within. And believe me, fear and doubt are the two greatest drains on every individual today. Actually, fear is just doubt manifesting in a slightly different way, and the different manifestations of that doubt are more numerous than I can name. Anger, self-pity, self-justification, greed, apathy are only a few. Many times, most often in fact, people do not realize that these forces act in them, for they are often dormant until a certain situation comes along and the force is awakened or comes into action, even in students very far along the path. And then that one will very often justify his actions or feelings so cleverly that he is later not even aware of what it was that was acting in him. And this can be very dangerous, especially in one who is in a position of influence over the lives of others. Honesty is the first and foremost requirement expected of any student of law, and honesty with oneself comes above all else. If you will not examine yourself and look closely at your own world and what is acting in it, and then go to work and clean house, and this is a continual process, how do you expect to become a master? I hope that you do not expect us to do it for you. As you do clean house, and by that I mean that you ask your presence to remove from your mind, body, and world anything that is less than perfect. You will be amazed if you sincerely ask your presence to show you the many deplorable ways in which doubt has been acting in you to prevent you from operating at your full God potential. And then, if you will go to work on what you see, your divine presence will draw so near that its assistance and sustaining power will be a never-ending joy and blessing to you and all that contact your world. And people will say, "What is it about you that is different? You seem to have changed." And you will find that people will be drawn to you without their knowing why. And you will become a great blessing to others wherever you move, wherever we move you. For then, and only then, will we be able to use you in the more than human work which we are about. For whatever you have overcome will you be able to help others to overcome. What joy will be yours as you are able to render to others that great service. Truly, it is more blessed to give than to receive. As the service in which we are able to use you for expands, as you become a greater and ever greater son, the love and assistance of the legions of light through your own outpouring to others will raise and bless you far more than your ability to bless. And far from your energy being depleted, you will find that your energy and your vitality is growing and growing all the time. And you will find that you are becoming a great battery of energy for loving service. The limitless light of God will pour forth from you at all times, and once again shall you be a son of God. I want to tell you that many times you will find yourselves in situations where you are face to face with another individual, and you seem to have nothing in common, and you do not know the reason for your being there. Well, you must just make the call to your presence that you be shown immediately what the reason is that you are there and what you are to do. I suggest that you say something to the effect, "I am the presence of God in this situation doing what I am meant to do," saying what I am meant to say in perfect divine order. Then, go ahead and continue to talk or do whatever feels like the natural thing to keep the ball rolling. And you will then, as you go along, begin to get the right feeling on what is to transpire, what you are to say, or perhaps what it is that individual has to say that may be of importance or assistance to you. Just be natural. You must give no indication that you are doing anything out of the ordinary, no matter how dynamic your inner call may be. And then, be patient. Oh, be patient. Be patient. How I wish that I could emphasize that. Just stay relaxed and know that the presence of God is at work to bring about the perfect divine plan for that situation. And many times, you will not know or not even have the slightest inkling what the plan is. But you just go ahead in a most natural way from one moment to the next as you feel your inner guidance coming forth. And you will be surprised at how easy and how natural a thing it is to get your divine guidance at every moment, no matter where you are. And many times people to whom you are talking will say, "Why, that is just what I needed to hear. How did you know?" And you will say, "Oh, I just had the feeling that you might be interested to know that," or some other natural thing to give not the slightest indication of the inner work that you are doing. For the first law and motto of the Great White Brotherhood is to know, to dare, to do, and to be silent. Then, silent you must be. Furthermore, do not get to thinking that because you know the law that you are superior to anyone. For many times, the reason that you will have been brought into contact with another individual, no matter how humble in appearance or ignorant of things spiritual they may seem, will be because that one has something that we wish you to hear or will tell you that one thing which, at the moment, you may be in need of more than anything else. And many are the times that we pass among you, and you know us not. Many are the ones that have met and talked with ascended masters working in tangible visible form unawares. And believe me, dear ones, in such cases, it has always been our way to take the appearance of one humble and ordinary in appearance and manner. Expect to meet us. And if you treat all that you meet as masters, perhaps you shall, as the service to be rendered allows. Remember, the light of God is within everyone. We are among you always, whether in tangible form or not. And as you seek to aid one another, your fellow brothers and sisters, you open the doorway for us into your lives and worlds. And I tell you, my dear friends, we will be most happy to be able to enter in at that doorway. And I say to you now, we shall enter in. And what a time we shall have then, shall we not, when we can talk heart to heart? And what is preventing that time from being now? Dear hearts, let us talk for a moment about a condition that I know is troubling many of you, and that is the appalling relationship that some of you have with your dear parents, the dear souls that volunteered to bring you into this world, which, believe me, knowing some of you as I do is a brave thing to do, and who, misguided though some of them may be, have tried so hard to raise you and teach you to the best extent they were able, as they believe to be proper, and against whom you have struggled to the point that you no longer have that beautiful harmonious relationship of parent and child, which is the divine plan and which our Creator intended. This is something which must, and I say simply must, be rectified if you are to advance. For it is not by chance that you are with these parents. You, dear ones, chose these parents and they chose you, and although you may have had to go through seemingly unendurable hardships on each other's accounts, I say to you, one day you shall see the wisdom of this association with each other. You will see what it is that has drawn you together in this embodiment, and you will, through that realization, learn to love these dear ones as the flames of God that they are, evolving as are you, each in his own right. But until such time as you do realize the true reason for your being in each situation that you find yourself, I humbly suggest that you learn to be as kind as you can be and to try and get along. Even though you may feel ignored as an individual person in your own right, or greatly wronged or misunderstood. For to learn to manifest harmony always and under the most adverse conditions is one of the greatest lessons and tests that you will ever have to undergo. And what better place to undergo it than in your own home? You must never allow yourself to feel holier than now, for you know that you are not. And though you may have advanced very far along the path, I say to you, you could not have done so without your parents, and there is much that you still have to learn from them. It was their love that brought you into being, and no matter how much that love seems to have waned, it is still there if you will take the time and call on the law of forgiveness and the fire of forgiveness into action to consume all human discord, all humanly created resentment, doubt, fear, and all wrongly qualified energy of the past that has been causing you to see only the outside of each other rather than the true Christ selves, the one. And when you see that one, what a glorious day it shall be. How happy you shall be, and how happy we too shall be, for in that very one is your true home, your sure certain victory over all human binding conditions forever, the doorway into the unlimited consciousness of the ascended state. And I want you to know that there are many of us in this state now who on the earth were parents and children of each other, and who now are working together in greatest love and harmony with each other as pure free beings in the great white brotherhood of universal divine love. How you dear ones would benefit if you would only let go. Let go and just be at peace with one another. Just let each other be with the space each needs to explore and operate freely, each in his own world without the judgment and condemnation of the other. And that condemnation, no matter how subtle you may think it or how silent, is the most grievous deprivation of freedom that one individual can ever impose upon another. And I sincerely hope that none of you will ever again be guilty of this, and that you will stand guard over your thoughts and feelings, and the words you speak to others to this effect. And I hope that as you value your freedom, you will call the consuming fire of forgiveness, the violet flame, into full and sustained action should you ever catch yourselves or others doing this. And how much more freedom and peace will you have then? Try it. You shall see. And so, gradually, you shall see that only can you escape the effects of the judgment others direct at you by removing, dissolving, and consuming forever every and all tendency within yourself toward judgment of others, no matter how small that tendency may be, for that is the open door. What you yourself seek can be obtained only if you are willing to grant the same to others. If you want love, you must give love. If you want peace, you must give peace. If you want freedom, you must give freedom. Acknowledge others' rights to the same things you wish for yourself. Free will is a divine gift. It is only man that has curtailed that freedom through his efforts to impose his own will on others. Do not feel responsible for what another does with his free will. Rather, first take the responsibility for yourself, and the disciplining of and conscious harmonious direction of your own thoughts and feelings are the greatest use you can make of your free will. For only in that conscious direction and mastery is the true freedom that you desire. There is much that you all have to learn in that respect. And although you may not like to hear about those things that you still have to work on, hear about them you shall. For you would not want me to leave you in the dark, that I am sure. And aren't you glad to have a friend who is honest with you? And I am your friend, you should know by now. We, from our octave, find it regrettable that so often an individual will say that he wants to purify himself and to serve the light. And then when we show him how to go about that, he quails in fear as though we would show anyone something he could not do, and as though we were not there and ready to take that one by the hand and give him every needed assistance. Oh dear ones, why won't you follow through on these things? When you ask us for something, know that the perfect instantaneous solution is there. But you must have faith in us, at least a fraction, and the patience to let us help you in that perfect way, which is very often not the way that you think we should. For the human, with its limited 5% material view of things, just loves to rush ahead on its own and make a mess of things when it doesn't have the consciousness of what is truly to take place. And believe me, the perfection, the beauty, the true joy that would fill your lives, each and every one of you, if you would only turn to your own ever-present God selves, your I Am presence, and the great white brotherhood who are one with that presence for every single thing from the littlest to the most important, how great a change would your lives undergo? How every little thing that you need would seem to offer itself to you before you even need to ask. For your own God self knows your needs before you know them yourself, and it is an all-consuming faith in that I Am presence which all of you, and I say all of you, more than any other single thing require. For if you do not have faith, what have you? Remember in the name of the love, the wisdom, and the power of the presence of that I am. I am the full consciousness forever of the light of God that never fails. I thank you. Discourse 13. El Serapis Bay. By the power of light I come to you. By the power of love I enter your heart. By the wisdom that I am, I enter your mind and bring you truth, and that truth shall set you free. Good day, my children. I speak to you as one who has known you for many ages and as one who cares for you very much and will continue to care for you and teach you as long as you shall wish me to do so, until that time which, for some, is not far hence when we shall work together as brothers and sisters in that higher octave in the greater expansion of the light. Light is my home, my province. Won't you come in? In the light that is within you is the all-seeing eye, the all-hearing ear, the all-knowing mind of God, the Almighty I Am. And as representative of that light I am at your service. I am at your call, for wherever the light is, there I am. And the I that I am is the source of all things, even the God flame of your being. So I think that you had best understand me, had you not? It is to render that service that I have come to you today. You see, as your consciousness is you, if you are not very conscious, then there is not much of you, is there? And in whatever way that consciousness is affected, so are you affected. Therefore, you must always have your attention on God, the I Am presence within you, so that you will always and only be affected by God rather than the human, which is the case when you let your human material affairs attract your interest and your attention wanders, which must never be. A master's mind never wanders. How could it? When he has found the source of its being, the ecstasy of its own God self, why should it look to any material condition or thing? It contains everything already within itself, and over which it is the ruling presence. You, consciousness, and God are one in nothing save your own human self has ever been able to create the illusion that it is any other way, and what a predicament man has now gotten himself into, don't you think? Believing in the illusions of his own brain's creation instead of accepting what is, what shall be, and what always has been, the one unchangeable reality of light for all time, and only in accepting that light, in opening one's mind to that light, will man's true consciousness of who he is return, and it is to help you remember that, to attain that consciousness that I am with you. So please open your mind to the light. Let the light fill your mind and expand until you know I am that light and that the only true expression of man's divinity is the expression, I am, and it can never be anything but I am, for consciousness is light, and when that light is conscious of itself, what else could it say but I am that light? And the conscious expression and use of that light is mastery. If you would attain mastery, use the expression I am. I am the presence of God doing this. I am the presence of God in all things. I am the consciousness of God by which I am understanding this. I am the master presence made manifest in perfect divine order. Use this expression of your own individual God self in whatever you do, and surely you shall become master. And whatever you would know, whatever you would understand, know that I am the presence by which I understand. For all is consciousness and is therefore within me and revealed to me in perfect divine order by the illuminating, revealing power that I am, God in action. And then be patient. Go about your business and tend to your affairs. Stay balanced and in a state of perfect ease and confidence. And, when you least expect it, the illumination that you have called into action will come forth in the most perfect way. The mind of man must be the servant before God's throne, and the heart, the center of your being, is the open door to that throne. Humility is the only thing that will ever qualify anyone to rule, and he who would rule must serve. God is humble. The very least one in the kingdom of God is the greatest, and he that is the greatest serves the one that is the least. This is the cardinal rule of all spiritual attainment. He who had attained most, he must serve most. So you see, we in the ascended state are far busier than you can imagine, and there is not a poor person anywhere whom we are not, by the law of our being bound to assist whenever they may call. And the call that mankind is making now, if you could hear it, would break your heart. Love each other more, dear hearts, and you will help ease our burden. Do not think we suffer, far from it. We are very joyous individuals. but we are very busy and we need your assistance as you need ours. For your calls and affirmations, help us to expand the light by the authority of your calls further into the human octave than we otherwise could. So we really need each other, you see? And I want you to know that we are very grateful to you. And even though you may not see me, I am helping you. For I am a very etheric fellow, and unless your eyesight is very sharp, you would not see me. But nonetheless, I am here. I am with you always and in all ways, as you move up the conscious path toward the open door of your sure certain victory. I thank you. Discourse 14. Great Divine Director, all that you are is determined by your mind, in the way it directs the light pouring at every moment from your great God self, and you are responsible for that light, that creation. As a creator, you were created with the very light and consciousness of God within you, and as a creator, you must bear your responsibility, and it is to better help you bear that responsibility that I have come to you. You see, my name indicates to you who and what I am. A director, just as the mind of each of you is a director, only I am a great divine director. Just as the higher mind, your higher mental body of each of you is a great divine director. I am an actual being, a being who has been on the earth in mortal physical form just like yourselves, only I have raised my physical form just like yourselves. Only I have raised my form, and through the knowledge, wisdom, and dominion that I have attained, and through the manifestation of my activity, I am able to help you achieve that same dominion, God consciousness that is your heritage, your longing, and your true nature. For the great divine director of you is the mind of God in action, and your ability to tune into and to become that mind is your eternal freedom and victory. The human mind, to the contrary, is nothing more than accumulated energy, qualified and stored in the world of the individual, which registers and acts through the physical cells of the human brain in the manner in which the humanly created patterns have been established. And so you see, there is nothing original, unique, or truly creative about the mind itself. All that it has is borrowed energy which has been lent it, which it must give account of, and which it must eventually return to God, the source that I am. You see what a dreary thing the human mind is of itself. A computer that has been programmed, nothing more than what through the five senses it has stored, sorted, and rearranged, and not even that very well has it. And yet it is that very accumulation, that very mind with all its arrogance and pride which keeps you from finding your own real self, divine mind, the I am that I am. For it is only by divine mind, that actual living God presence that dwells within and above every individual, a being as tangible to us in our octave as you are to each other in your octave, that anything new, creative, or anything of the light ever comes to earth and into the minds, hearts, and worlds of individuals everywhere. And it is that being that is the great divine director of you, and it is to that presence which the human mind must at last turn for relief. Father, thy will, not mine, be done. And when the individual reaches that point, usually only after much human suffering, then the blessed individual is on his way to freedom, for he has turned to God, and with God all things are possible and certain. One individual who has turned to God is more powerful than an army that has not. You see, dear ones, how imperative it is to turn to your I am presence in all things. For what does your human mind know of what is and what God means for you to do? Nothing. In fact, it will, out of the most sincere desire to do what seems to it the right thing, quite often set you on the wrong track. Only your divine mind, your ever-present, ever-watchful Father, the I am presence who knows all things, can show you what is the right thing and set you going in the right direction and supply you with the energy, guidance, and wisdom to attain what that right thing is in perfect divine order. Oh, how we have waited for you, dear students, while you have struggled with the mind. How sometimes you will be so close you will feel the divine light beginning to pour itself through your minds and hearts. And then the human mind jumps up like a jealous little dog to claim the owner that has been ignoring it and tries to claim the light for its own. But it is not its own. You must learn to relax. You must learn to let that delicate, ever-present light from within the very center of your being come out and have full sway until it slowly fills your whole being, mind, and world with its pure love, wisdom, and radiance divine. Human mind is a poor teacher of mind. It pretends to discipline itself only to reassert its hold in yet another way. I beg you, dear ones, leave the mind alone. Let it alone, and it will let you alone. Do not try to analyze this great light from above. nor the law governing its use, for that would only keep this light from acting, which light I know you want more than anything else. For how many centuries have you waited for this great light, yet turned away to live in a world of your own creation? And how long do you choose to remain in that world? Only you can answer that, dear ones. But I know that as you are sincere, you will turn your attention within to your heart and there find that great light from the presence, that great love, that great wisdom, and that great power that is the presence of God eternal within you. May the love, wisdom, and power of the presence that I am and the great host of ascended masters raise you into the full consciousness of the crystal chalice and the eternal victory of your own I am presence forever. I thank you. This has been I Am the Open Door Discourses of the Ascended Masters as given to Peter Mount Shasta.
Well, what do you think about that? What a beautiful channeled message that was, huh? I hope you enjoyed it as much as I have. What an extraordinary journey we've just taken through I Am the Open Door. Simply awesome. The words of the Ascended Masters resonate deeply with the truths we hold within ourselves, that we are light, that we are love, and that we hold the power to step into mastery and freedom. As you reflect on these teachings, I encourage you to consider how their insights might inspire your daily life. Perhaps it's a simple affirmation like, I am the presence of God, or a renewed sense of purpose in your spiritual journey. Remember, this path is as unique as you are, and every step is sacred. Thank you for allowing me to share this sacred text with you today. If you found value in this episode, please share it with someone who might benefit. And if you'd like to continue exploring more spiritual and channeled teachings with us, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and the podcasts and follow us for updates. We will dive into them more and more in the future, and it greatly helps us to continue this by doing so. So please click on the like button as well. And until next time, stay in the light, stay in the love, and remember, you are the open door through which divinity flows. Be well.